The room was cold, sterile, its white walls reflecting the harsh flicker of fluorescent lights overhead. A heavy scent of chemicals lingered in the air, and the distant hum of machines reverberated through the stillness. Occasionally, muffled cries echoed through the halls, followed by the metallic clanging of doors. The others, those taken before, always returned different. Their eyes wide, empty, haunted by things they can never comprehend. Some never returned at all. The white-coated figures who moved in and out spoke in clipped tones, their faces always obscured by masks, their hands gloved and detached. When they came for you, it was no different. The cold bite of the needle brought a floating numbness, and the world became a blur of sterile hallways and glass walls. Beyond those walls, others like yourself lay still on metal tables. Words floated through the air. FMD strain, trial, resistance, spoken by the faceless figures who hovered. It wasn't until a fleeting glance at the reflection of a glass window, hooves tapping softly on the ground, a thick coat of fur, wide, unblinking eyes. The horrors, the cages, the experiments, everything made sense. This was far from human. You were just cattle. You were just another subject at Plum Island.
Whoa!
That was really good. I like that. That was stellar.
That was good. That was good all around.
You're
you
a cow.
Far from human. You were just cattle. But yeah, I understand that literally it was a cow.
Isaiah, did you understand that you're a cow?
I am a cow. I am being milked currently.
Yep. That's all it was.
Jackson likes to do that to me for some reason.
The facility,
but no, that was well done.
I'm talking about there was just a farmer in a shed, basically just milking Isaiah. That's the image I want everyone to have there.
A farmer in a shed just milking me. Whoa.
Yeah, that's Plum Island.
Whew,
yeah,
boy.
that is a different.
Man, that fan art's going to be diabolical. Anyway, this is the red thread. I got to do the intro this time because Jackson asked Caleb if Caleb would like to do it, our esteemed guest, and he said no, so I said I'd do it. But no, that was awesome. Like not only like literally, yes, it was a cow, but I like the phrase "this was far from human. You were just cattle," but it's literally cattle and stuff. That was well done. I like that, Jackson.
Thank you very much,
like
Caleb. Now it's your turn to compliment me.
Oh no, I gave you a full round of applause, so you're good.
Oh, oh, sweet. Okay,
yeah, you'll be fine.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you figured it out.
I appreciate it. Yeah, this is Red Thread. Hi, guys. Hi. This week, we're talking about Plum Island. I had never heard of this place. Didn't know this place existed. I thought it was like Shutter Island when I first read the name. I was like, is that the horror movie thing where, Leonardo DiCaprio shows up and goes through like mental illness or something? I don't even remember that movie now. But yeah, I didn't know this place existed until my girlfriend told me about it.
Do you have a girlfriend?
Guys know...
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. It's hard to believe that this guy who sits at home writing fan fiction about Isaiah getting milked has a girlfriend, but yeah, shockingly he does.
Yeah. No, I'm on your side, bud.
Well, when you put it that way.
Hey, she supports me in my endeavors, Isaiah. She cheers me on. Yeah, do you guys know about Plum Island?
I've never heard of it.
Yes.
Never heard of it.
I know about it, for one, because it pops up in a ton of conspiracy theories and stuff like that. But also just because it's there's a lot of examples with Plum Island when it comes to like mishandling of events and knowledge and diseases, like both conspiracy theories and both actual like confirmed shady government stuff. So if it's in the wheelhouse of like anti-state propaganda, I probably have peeked my head at it a time or two at some point. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff that's to do with Plum Island. And there's also a ton of real stuff that's come from it. Like, my wife works in animal research. So, Plum Island's like a really big part of all that. So,
yeah, your wife would probably know a lot about this. So for us, like top-down perspective on it or a synopsis of it, Isaiah, what would you say?
I'm not super knowledgeable about it, but basically Plum Island is an animal disease center or animal research center. If I recall right, Plum Island had an outbreak at some point that fueled a lot of the conspiracies around it. The conspiracy is that they test new diseases to use on the populace in there, when in reality, they're just testing stuff, and then sometimes disaster happens due to mishandling, and then they don't properly inform people, of what's going on.
As the government does. Yeah.
As the government does, as they're so good at.
Yeah,
so
they're really good at not telling us things.
Where's Plum Island at? Wuhan?
Yeah, the United States Department of Homeland Security.
My God, they don't
Center
put COVID
Wuhan.
in there, figuring out how to give it to the animals.
Yeah. That founder done ate it bad out there for lunch.
There is a like COVID. There's like a COVID element to this story from what I've read.
Great.
Yeah, it's like,
cool.
It's the early COVID.
So it went from like, it's a place where disease animal, or they do disease research with animals, to like they invent diseases out there to use. There's theories about COVID coming from it. There's theories about like a swine flu coming from it and stuff like that. Or not swine flu. What's the that was the one that happened in 2011, swine flu. So there's all these different theories that they're doing it on purpose, basically. And the outbreaks are actually just like releasing it on purpose to see what happens. So a ton of conspiracy theories, but as with most good conspiracy theories, it does come from a root of government negligence. So at least
I don't know what you're talking about. The quote here from Larry Barrett, the director of Plum Island Animal Disease Center, says, "This lab is not a threat to the nation. This lab is here to protect the nation." Rebuttal, Isaiah? He said it.
When you put it that way, I really
the director of Plum Island would not lie to us.
What's his source?
Sources,
Trust me, bro?
It came to me in a dream. I made it up.
The sources, I made it up. Yeah.
Yep. Source, trust me, bro. I always like that. When the government officials come out and basically just say we're not lying.
No, we're being honest. This is the truth.
We're being for real. Yeah.
Source,
for realsies this time.
What is Plum Island? Well, it is a facility built to protect the nation's agricultural core, or is it a secret lab filled with evil scientists crafting the next big biological weapon? Plum Island.
Yeah, that one probably.
Yes, that one. For that's definitely the one I'm going to say. For sometimes in these episodes I'm too reasonable and I need to change that. Plum Island, a small island located off the coast of New York, is home to the Plum Island Animal Disease Center, a facility dedicated to researching foreign animal diseases that pose a threat to U.S. livestock. However, secret nature of the facility and its high-level security status have fueled many conspiracy theories, suggesting its involvement in biological warfare and even the creation of Lyme disease. What is really happening behind closed doors at Plum Island?
There's a theory that they created Lyme disease in that bitch. That's crazy.
Yep. Yeah, see that? I told you it was like COVID. Lyme disease was the original COVID.
I have two family members that have permanent damage from Lyme disease.
What does Lyme disease do again? It just like makes you really tired?
It lays dormant for a long time in some people. Like you get a bullseye. Not everybody gets a bullseye, and sometimes it can affect you like 10 years later. And then they don't know what's wrong with you, and sometimes it just pops up negative on tests. My grandfather had to go to the University of Virginia like 4 different times because he was misdiagnosed a bunch, and they were just like, all right, we don't know what's wrong with him. So, but he had Lyme disease, and now he's fine. That was 4 years ago.
Well, that's good that he's fine, but that's always so terrifying that health professionals can just go, we don't know what the fuck's wrong with you.
Yeah,
you're all kinds of fucked up.
Yeah, we're sick. We know that.
Plus,
hey, thanks.
Lyme disease is most often transmitted through ticks. Yeah, at least around here,
everywhere.
So the issue is like it normally takes a while to find a tick or to realize the tick is on you before you find it. So it's something you gotta be super cautious of walking through the woods. That and Rocky Mountain spotted fever.
Yep.
Those are 2 separate ones.
Yeah.
Well, over here, the only thing you have to be scared of is stonefish, which are literally like just fish that look like stones that live in rivers.
Shut up, Jackson. Shut up. You said the only thing you have to be afraid of is stonefish.
Well, that's the only thing I'm afraid of.
Other thing on the continent
Dude, everything else that can kill you is obvious and large. These are literal stones and rivers that if you stand on it, you die immediately.
Blue ring octopus.
Yeah, but you can see the blue ring octopus. You can see the rings.
The rings aren't always glowing. They glow when the animal chooses to. Okay, cigarette snails.
I don't even know what that one is.
I don't know about any of that stuff.
It is a conch snail looking thing that strikes really quick and it kills you in the time it takes to smoke a cigarette, hence the name.
Right. Yeah.
Box jellyfish. The invisible see-through jellyfish.
Yeah, but you can see, well, yeah, okay, you can see through them. You're right.
Yep, that's what I thought. Funnel web spider.
They're not invisible. You can see them perfectly fine.
Except when they're in their house, which is in fact a funnel web that is very small and hard to get in. What's that one plant you have that looks a lot like other plants, but if you touch it, it's like people have shot themselves because of how painful it is.
When they wipe their asses with it, they mistakenly wipe their ass, and then they are driven to sewer slide due to the pain.
That's Gimpy.
Yeah, he mad.
Yeah, and it looks like a normal plant.
He mad when he realized things in the universe and the world are not actually what to fear, but the inner machinations of his mind. That's he mad. I'm not afraid of anything living. I'm only afraid of being alone with my own thoughts.
Okay.
There is an entire dedicated season in your country where you can't go outside because birds will fly down and attack you because they're too horny.
Yep. Hey, magpie season is a national holiday.
Mm-hmm.
This guy says the only thing that can kill you is the only thing you have to fear. When I typed in, listen to this, I was typing in everything that can kill, and it auto-failed kill you in Australia.
That's great. That's great.
Well, I haven't died yet.
Oh, I haven't
died yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I'm safe.
So yeah, you know.
I haven't learned to fear stuff.
Wait, don't you guys have killer bees too?
Yes, okay, I was wrong. A lot of things over here can kill. Yes. There is a lot of things that can kill you over here. So don't remind me. It fills me with terror. I need to convince myself that it's safe.
I can feel him getting scared.
How many lethal snakes are in Australia? I know you have adders and you have the taipan and you've got
so many.
Yeah, so many. Literally every snake you run into is deadly.
Don't live there.
You know what's weird? New Zealand has no snakes, and they're like right next door. I don't know how that's even possible. Like,
God liked them for some reason.
A lot of water.
Is that the reason?
Well, I mean, most snakes don't swim, so yeah.
Okay, they couldn't make the trip over.
What is a better reason that they just were? Someone decided not to put them there.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know the reason. It seems really weird to me that we are so geographically close to
when
one
you
another.
Look at the species of tick in Australia, it is called the Australian paralysis tick.
Is that not a... I mean, I know it's not the Australian paralysis.
No, it's not. The paralysis tick is not a universal
There's a tick
thing.
That has a symptom in its name. That's crazy. The Australia permanent death tick.
Wait. I forgot about this. You guys also have bull ants.
Yeah, don't you guys?
No, the ant that sting is so painful, people have removed limbs to make the stinging stop.
No, that's propaganda. Ant. It's not that bad. I've been bitten by a bull ant before. It hurts. It hurts really bad, but not to that degree.
I didn't know bullet ants. I thought they were South American.
No, not the bullet ant. The bull ant. BULL.
Oh, I thought the bullet
ant is South American.
Got you.
Yes,
I thought that's the one that was like really high on the sting index or whatever.
Well, the bullet ant is like a day straight, like 24 hours of suffering. The bull ant stings a lot, but the reason they're so dangerous is because, yes, if you get stung by one, you'll probably be fine, but they're like super aggressive and will swarm and like sting
ants.
in the dozens all at once. Yeah, like fire ants, only a lot bigger.
Yeah. We have fire ants too. Yeah.
You also have giant centipedes. You also have stuff that's just plain scary, even though it's not super lethal, like, huntsman spiders and whatnot. Plus, not to mention, every shark on your waters is like the most lethal kind of shark.
That's true.
Yeah, they are pretty... We do get a lot of shark attacks.
They're pretty ballsy.
But also a lot of dolphin attacks. It evens out.
No, there aren't. You hear about one every 5 years.
No, there aren't. There's not.
Actually, it does not happen.
You're wrong.
Actually, no.
That's really funny.
The Plum Island Animal Disease Center, PIATIC, opened in 1954 by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, as the nation's premier defense against accidental or intentional introduction of transboundary animal diseases. This means that diseases like African swine fever, is that the one you were talking about, swine flu? I assume that's the same thing.
He's talking about H1N1, I think.
Right. Diseases like African swine fever and foot and mouth disease, FMD, Plum Island being the only place that is allowed to work with live disease samples, are studied and used in an attempt to protect and safeguard the livestock of America by creating vaccines. The center was built in response to the disease outbreaks that occurred in Mexico and Canada in the mid-1950s. Mexico experienced a major outbreak of foot and mouth disease starting in 1946, and the epidemic threatened livestock across the country due to the proximity to the border. In total, it's estimated that the Mexican outbreak affected millions of livestock. So yeah, I guess that was the main impetus for the creation of Plum Island. They wanted to, prevent foot and mouth disease from destabilizing the nation's industry. Foot and mouth affects cloven-hoofed animals like cattle, pigs, and sheep. Outbreaks can lead to massive livestock culling, trade restrictions, and reduced economic activity in agriculture, which is obviously bad because the knock-on effects continue with loss of animals, decreased production in milk and meat, and money put into containment and vaccinations, and also increased costs to the public. So basically, outbreak bad because your milk price goes up. It is highly infectious and can be spread by contaminated equipment and wild animals. Cases of foot and mouth in humans is rare, so that's not really the concern, or wasn't the concern. But the last reported case in the UK being in the 1960s, so it can happen, I guess. Basically, foot and mouth disease is an economically devastating viral disease that affects livestock, while hand, foot, and mouth disease is a relatively mild viral infection that mainly affects young children. Hand, foot, and mouth disease is like super common, right? That's not like
crazy. I know people who've gotten it.
Yeah, you just get it from kids, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and you like turn different colors and shit.
Yeah, it's a party trick. Foot and mouth disease is sensitive to our stomach acid, so can only be given to humans if eaten by chewing in the mouth. What? If eaten by chewing in the mouth? What does that mean?
As opposed to chewing elsewhere.
Yeah, but
so it can only be given to humans if eaten by chewing in the mouth before swallowing. The disease was considered eradicated in America in 1929 when America culled over 172,000 animals in a mass quarantine event. That's not quarantine, that's just execution. This is all to say that America has...
the disease is being quarantined, not the animals.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, true. This is all to say that America has a long and serious history with foot and mouth disease. I didn't know that. You guys, got nasty feet and mouths.
Yeah, it's not
right
funny,
up
it's
there
sad.
with yellow fever, Spanish flu. We've had a time or two. We've had some. So of course, there was the consumption, but that got everyone. That was worldwide, but we had a lot going on. We're busy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're busy with getting sick.
The Plum Island Animal Disease Center is located in Plum Island, New York. It only runs just under 5 kilometers or 3 miles long and 2 kilometers wide or 1 mile wide. And access is controlled by the United States Department of Homeland Security. Those are the good guys. And it was purchased by the government during the Spanish-American War. History lesson. When was that, guys? When was the Spanish-American War?
1906. 1901. 1894.
It was 90. I think it was like 98 to 02 or something like that.
Yeah, 1800s. So it was the turn of the 19th century.
It was right at the turn of the century. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. The island itself is pretty self-sustainable as it has its own power plant and emergency buildings, and of course, supremely tight security with access being completely restricted to people lacking certain security credentials.
It was exclusively in the year of 1898, so much shorter than I thought. But yeah,
that is a short war. Close. Did they just give up immediately?
Well, you had like the Spanish colonies like down there. And you had the United States, and the United States was like, hey, don't do that. And it was like 8 months.
Yeah.
Okay. Good for you guys, I guess.
USA.
USA.
You don't say it with your heart. You don't.
Yeah, I tried.
And it's so disingenuous when you say it.
Mm-hmm.
USA. The island is pretty self-sustainable as it has its own power plant and emergency buildings, and of course supremely tight security with access being completely restricted to people lacking certain security credentials. Due to the nature of the research, animals that appear on the island are killed to prevent any possible spread of diseases. The only exception to this being birds, as the non-for-profit organization called National Audubon Society deemed the area as an important environment for the flying wildlife. A middle ground was reportedly found between the two organizations, between the U.S. government and the Audubon Society. They came to the negotiation table and they agreed that they would allow the birds to coexist on the island. They'd place nests and boxes in particular areas throughout the island while still culling birds that strayed too far from the designated safe zones. That's going to be so fucking confusing for those birds.
Mm-hmm.
It's like just sentry turrets mowing them down if they go into the wrong part of the island.
I rarely feel bad for birds, but I'm feeling it today.
That's a weird beef to have.
Genius. I rarely feel bad for birds, but today I'm feeling it. Yeah.
That is a super common phobia and fear that I didn't know existed to the degree that it exists. I know so many people now that are terrified of birds. I still don't understand.
Terrified?
Why. Yeah, terrified, like actual phobia, like they're like spiders to them. Yeah,
oh, that's strange. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like multiple times now, so it has to be somewhat prevalent.
I just lack empathy towards them.
Okay, that's good. While the center has allegedly researched over 40 animal diseases, it began by looking into foot and mouth disease in cattle exclusively. The center had multiple buildings with the strictest running in the biosafety level of 3 agriculture, which I guess is a building, meaning that they have specialized containment protocols designed for research on pathogens that could cause serious diseases in livestock, which would then cause economic consequences. The features of the facility reportedly include controlled access, special air filtration systems, relevant immunizations available for staff, long and detailed safety manuals, and protective clothing, which are more or less par for the course, in any of these kinds of government facilities, with the only difference really being, the immunizations being provided to workers. And I know vaccines are, a hot topic in the world at the moment. So these employees were forced to take their immunizations. So spare some sympathy for the government spooks, please. They're being vaccinated against their will.
Held down and shot. No, it's pretty standard for most of these. It's kind of like like when soldiers have to go operate in like the Middle East, they have to take a smallpox vaccination because there's still threats of it happening over there. If you're working in a lab that has like all of these diseases, you have to get vaccinated for a ton of different stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're literally working with live pathogens, like actual the virus themselves.
Yeah. And plus the like that rating, the biosafety level of 3. So that's your BSL rating. Your BSL rating tells you how dangerous certain things are. And it relates to anything that can hurt biological things. So it could be anything from like a blood sample, right? Like I think a BSL has like the BSL of blood or something would be like a 1, right? Because it shouldn't hurt you hypothetically, but everything has like a different rating. So a 3 ag means that it is very, very dangerous to agriculture specifically. It's not like a 3 for humans. It's just 3 for agriculture. So
is 3 the highest? Do you know if that's the highest we can get?
I think that's the highest. Pretty sure. Hold on.
Because if it's not the highest, then this has lost street cred to me. If this is
4
real stuff.
4 is the highest. Okay.
Okay. Well, where's that facility kept? Because that's where all the shit's going down.
4 is dangerous microbes that pose immediate threats to life. So things like the Ebola would be considered a BSL of 4.
And COVID.
No, I don't. Honestly, I don't know if COVID, because like if you contract a direct Ebola strain, it's like you are going to die if we don't do something. Typically,
what about like anthrax?
That would be a 4, I would say. Well, hold on. It might just be level of protection. Yeah, BSL is just a protection level for the laboratory. So, based on what you're working with. So, anthrax, even though it's not like a virus or disease, it's still super dangerous to the people working on it. So that'd still be like a 4, I think.
Gotcha. All right, so that explains why the island is still to this day heavily guarded. In an article from CBS.
Sorry, I'm stupid. After looking
it's
forward,
actually the safest level.
I don't want to spread misinformation. After looking forward, the BSL is restricted to dangerous biological agents. So no, anthrax wouldn't count because it's a chemical. So that would be like a chemical rating, whereas a disease like Ebola would count. So
okay, gotcha.
I'll shut up now. Continue.
So could they? Because I think there are rumors that like they do study and use anthrax at places like this. Would they need a separate rating for that, or is it like a?
Well, I'm sure there's dangerous chemicals and stuff like that in here they're working with.
True.
I guarantee that. But chemicals typically, as long as you store them correctly, aren't alive with the threat of, escaping.
They can't run away.
Yeah. Anthrax can't run away. Yeah.
Yeah. Not as scary.
Well, maybe that's what they're trying to create.
Running anthrax. Yeah.
Sentient anthrax. Yeah.
Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Why are they doing that, Jackson? Can you tell me? I'm scared now.
They want weapons that can feel.
This podcast is making me scared.
Don't worry, we're just getting started. The island is still to this day heavily guarded. In an article from CBS News in 2012, microbiologist Marvin Grubman, who we all know and love, obviously, friend of the show, explained the need for secrecy and the facility being heavily guarded, commenting on the fact that the threat of biological weapons has risen, especially in the post-9/11 world, and the American government does not want potential terrorists to be able to come to Plum Island and collect the virus to cause chaos. Yeah, of course, no shit.
Yep, makes sense.
They just leave the front door open, basically. They're like, it's a anthrax, rental service. Come take it. While the work at the facility is perhaps appropriately primarily kept private, there have been specific scientific research conducted that has been made public eventually, and the PDAC, which is that organization, often collaborates with universities and international organizations on certain projects, which often result in publicly accessible scientific findings. This is all to say that, yes, there is certainly research conducted at Plum Island on live pathogens, and there is certainly research that the US government certainly doesn't want released, but the fact that the facility is even known about and has provided public research for some subjects seems to speak in the favor of it existing primarily due to the national need to safeguard agricultural industries against foot and mouth disease. That's kind of what I was saying. Like, if there's a level 4, that place would be real secret. Like, if a facility is like, completely unknown to us, I think that's where like all the dodgy
now
shit
that's
would be
not to
down.
say Plum Island wouldn't potentially work with BSL-4 stuff. It's more so just to say they don't regularly store it there and perform routine checks on it. But if there's like an outbreak or something, a lot of these disease research centers will transfer over. Like during COVID, a bunch of places that have never worked with COVID suddenly started working with COVID, right?
Right.
So it's not to say this facility wouldn't, convert to stuff that was like BSL-4. It's just on the regular, they are working in like level 3 conditions. And mostly, again, their primary concerns agricultural affected stuff, which is different than like, human killing agents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Less scary for us,
Yeah, like foot and mouth disease is still scary. You can still get it, but it's more scary for what it does agriculturally than when you get infected.
I think the government loves Plum Island due to the fact that it's kind of like a red herring. Everyone's so focused on it in terms of the
it's like Area 51,
elements.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like the Area 51 of this kind of thing. And so it's probably like way easier for the government to hide the actual facility where, the actual dodgy shit goes down, because everyone's just so focused on Plum Island.
And plus, like the fact that, like, as you said, we know about Plum Island. We know it's there. We know it exists and stuff like that. That's a pretty big indicator that's probably not a big deal. But that doesn't mean that things haven't gone wrong there, and that doesn't fuel some theories, which is what we're getting into next.
Yep, it's not all sunshine and pathogens at Plum Island. There have been accidents.
I like that one. That was a well-written one. Even working within the strict protocols required when working on one of the worst animal diseases possible, accidents, of course, happened. No matter how much you try to safeguard, you just cannot remove the human element from mistakes. In 1978, foot and mouth disease was exposed to cattle in holding pens, which was a fact admitted to by the Bush administration. In 2008, 30 years later. Staff were evacuated off the island and over 200 animals were killed due to the outbreak. Luckily, the outbreak did not make it to the mainland and was contained to the island, but alarm bells were raised internally and politically, and the center shut down temporarily while safety and decontamination protocols were enforced. That's scary. Glad it's an island.
Dude, I tell you what, like, talking to my wife and stuff about, because again, she works in like disease research. It is incredible to me this stuff doesn't happen more often. Like nowadays, there's so many like technological safeguards for it
as well.
But just the idea that you have a facility with this many things that can carry diseases and this many people actively opening and working on diseases and that they don't cross-pollinate is incredible.
Yep. Investigations were launched, but the results were not publicized. They looked into finding a possible weakness in their protocols, possible equipment failures, or human error that may have caused the outbreak. It seemed that maybe the air filtration system or improper handling of the contaminated materials may have had a hand in the spread of the virus. A comprehensive review and overhaul was conducted on almost every single part of the facility and how the process was run. Tighter biosafety measures were introduced, especially with decontamination processes and how contaminated materials were handled by scientists. They had to get the theory boys in there to write some new SOPs to make sure their shit was fucking...
The eggheads.
That would be scary. Imagine making a mistake and people die. Like a lot of people die.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah. Or just even making a mistake and your coworker dies. Or you die. Like, you're handling some of the most dangerous things on the planet.
Imagine if making one of these videos, if the video didn't get enough likes, someone died or something. That'd be scary.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Beast.
You heard that. Everyone.
Write that down. That's a good idea. Tighter biosafety measures were introduced, especially with decontamination processes and how contaminated materials were handled by scientists. Money was invested in upgrading the infrastructure at the center, and the government increased its oversight to make sure that standards were being met. The frequency of audits and reports were increased, and this would not happen again. Dun, dun, dun! But then it did happen again. That's what it did happen.
What? The thing they said wouldn't happen happened? What? No.
Government,
no. I trusted you. 50th time's the charm.
I gave you 40 years.
There were two separate incidents in 2004, so it happened twice in 2004 alone, that created an accidental release of the virus, which happened through the containment systems. Luckily, it was contained to inside the building and did not reach the local wildlife or the mainland, but this again sent alarm bells ringing. It was only through daily routine checks and reviews that the pathogens were found outside of their containment areas, sending the lab into a lockdown. So the checks, they didn't know that they released it. They found it because they checked.
Yeah, they found it eventually. Like, how long had it been there for, maybe? Where was it even found? I guess
really
in
funny.
That's what I mean. Like, you have these diseases that can leak out, like something gets infected, and you don't know until you go like doing routine checks, right?
Yeah, it could just be like in a crevice in a wall or something. And then they swab the wall once every year or something, and then they're like, "Holy shit, this pathogen has been here in this hallway for the entire time."
In response, the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Department of Homeland Security began a comprehensive look into the breaches, again reviewing every detail about their safety protocols. That little thing popped up, and I immediately looked at it like a moth. Their safety protocols and infrastructure to see if they could locate any weaknesses. It was decided that their system was no longer adequate for conducting this high-risk biological research and required immediate attention. Interesting.
Caleb's like my favorite person to have around. He just makes every situation more colorful.
Yeah.
I love it.
He's trying his best.
I mean that completely unsarcastically, just tapping on a Google Doc and you're like, ooh, it's fun. It's fun. I appreciate you.
I saw it. It popped up. I was like, what's that? What is that? A bug or something? Let's see. Hillary Clinton, the New York senator. You guys can fire me if you'd like. It's fine. I'll be all right.
No, you're good.
Hillary Clinton, the New York senator at the time, and Congressman Tim Bishop penned a letter to Homeland Security after these 2004 incidents. They said, "We urge you to immediately investigate these alarming breaches at the highest levels and to keep us apprised of all developments." And then she says, "Pokemon, go to the polls."
Yep, there's a few words in between those two, but that in fact is correct.
That is real. Yeah, yep. There were also
wait. The Senator Hillary Clinton and Congressman Tim Bishop, like their entire basis, the findings after the 2004 incidents, they basically just said, "Yeah, we urge you to go check it out some more." Like that's the extent. Yeah, they asked nicely.
Yeah, it's saying that the government, it wasn't just a matter for like disease research centers. Like two of the biggest people in politics were like, "Hey, find out why this happened right now." Like,
yeah, but aren't they the government? Can't they just do that? Like,
well, typically,
why are they writing a letter to themselves?
Because typically, Hillary Clinton doesn't go out there with a clipboard and then try to figure out how foot and mouth disease breached a contamination. Like,
yeah, but she calls up the Homeland Security dude and is like, "Hey, sort this shit out." Like, she's a senator, isn't that like? Are they meant to apply pressure?
That's what this is.
Yeah, true. I guess.
Yeah, you're like, well, why doesn't Hillary Clinton contact Homeland Security and tell them to, I don't know, keep us apprised of all developments?
That would be convenient if she did.
She should be stricter with the letter. She should say, "You need to do this." Not we urge you.
She said she should end it. You're on thin ice. At the end.
Yeah.
Something
that would scare me a little bit.
She should end it with a frowny face emoji at the very bottom.
I think that would have been ahead of her time, to be honest.
I would absolutely love if right now Hillary Clinton sent me a letter that was like, "We urge you immediately to stop or quit," or anything like that. My next video, it would be me shirtless in like a gladiator kilt with a spear. And I'd be like, "Meet me on the field of combat. We're gonna settle this like men." That would be the greatest moment of my life, I think.
Can I come if that happens?
Yeah, you can watch. I'm gonna get shot to death by every letter agency in the country at once, but I'll do it. Yeah, have you seen 300? That end scene where like Leonidas is alone on the battlefield and he gets hit with like a bajillion arrows. Yeah. That'll be me, but it's like 80 snipers. I'll be like my arms out, like in the kilt, like spear in my hand. Yeah, just
it's 338s. You're getting just shot full of holes by Secret Service.
Full of holes, but in my head, I know that Thermopylae is secured because of the Greek reinforcements, and that I have like found my destiny and the afterlife, and my bloodline is secured. And yeah, if Hillary Clinton sends me a letter, I am getting my wife pregnant, and then I am walking to Washington D.C. with the spear.
Is Hillary Clinton in this situation just like sitting atop a golden chariot on the battlefild while all the U.S. agents?
Yeah, well, she literally looks like Xerxes from 300. She has like the giant nose rings and like the chains around her and stuff. And she's standing in front of like the Washington Memorial, like, "All this could be yours if you delete your YouTube channel." And then I like throw a spear at her and get eviscerated.
She's surrounded by Secret Service immortals.
Yep, but my wife's pregnant, so that means that my bloodline continues, and I've secured my seat in Valhalla, and I will die happy. Yep.
Do I have permission to be your Herodotus and write about this firsthand?
Of course, and I want you to wear an eye patch when you do it.
Oh, thank you, Isaiah. I really appreciate that. Where were we? There were also calls for this facility to be relocated as the infrastructure was aging and it overall posed a possible safety risk. But on the other side of the coin, its remote location was a natural barrier between the viruses they studied there and the public. It makes sense to have that type of thing on a fucking island, to be honest.
No, you should put it directly in the middle of New York instead.
Yeah.
See what happens.
That's what actually, there was a huge disease research facility in Washington, D.C. that had an outbreak, caused a massive lockdown. And it was a huge national security threat there for a few weeks. It was with primates, I believe, and I forget which disease it was, but there was an outbreak and they were afraid it was going to like wipe out a huge part of the population.
When was this?
So yeah, typically it's a good idea to put these on the island. This was like in the last 20 years, I think.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I don't remember that shit. I was too young.
You said it was like they were studying primates, like it was primate research.
Yeah, monkeys in there.
That's what it is. Okay, so there was a primate quarantine facility in Reston, Virginia, which was about 15 miles away from DC. And there was a series of BSL-4 agents. Hey, we understand what that is now. That were discovered at the primate quarantine facility, meaning there was a potential spread of them, which means that the diseases
damn apes got their hands on it.
And because they had now made their way into primates, they could probably pass into humans pretty easily. So it became this massive lockdown. My wife has met people who worked in that whole thing, and it was like every research person in the country was suddenly working on that, send people there to quarantine, to lockdown, to test, to figure out what's happening, because that's how massive plagues start up. So,
what happened to the monkeys?
I mean, you know what happened to the monkeys.
No.
Well, that's sad.
Yeah.
I thought maybe we could have cooperated with them to fix the situation peacefully. They were in as much risk as we were.
And the monkey said, ooh, ooh, ah, ah.
Ooga booga, ooga booga. Yeah.
That's a good impression.
And then the same thing that I said was going to happen to me at Washington, D.C. with the arrows. That's what happened to the monkey.
Oh.
But it was
Hillary Clinton was there too.
Yeah, it was also bullets, but yeah, much less. Yeah.
To make matters worse for Plum Island, the Government Accountability Office, aka GAO, published a report in 2011 criticizing the biosecurity measures at Plum Island. The report cited poor maintenance, aging facilities, and the risk of pathogen release due to the inadequate infrastructure.
Hey, look at that. At least they took accountability.
That's not good.
That's
oh.
I mean, they wrote a report about how much they suck. That's kind of cool. Someone got paid for that. Isaiah, tell me about the conspiracy theories. You're
all right. Now we are in my neck of the woods. Let's go. So
this is yours.
So a lab close. So everything we've said so far is factual, right?
Yeah.
Plum Island,
oh, yes.
Animal Research Center, and there was a breakout.
Everything we said was
disease
facts.
that caused a bit of a panic. So some stuff had been mishandled. Diseases got out, but it's like a public lab and people know about it, right?
Yep.
But
exactly.
A lab closed off to the public with tight-knit government security, and it's all located on a remote island. Perfect recipe for a conspiracy theory. Plum Island has a few good ones that made it a red thread-worthy episode, so we're going to get into those. The first of which is Lyme disease. So probably one of the biggest conspiracy theories to come out of Plum Island is the creation of Lyme disease. Lyme disease is a tick-borne illness that is caused by the bacterium Borrelia burgdorferi, causing redness, fever, headaches, tiredness, and in more severe cases, facial paralysis, arthritis, heart irregularities, and meningitis-like symptoms. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have said that ticks usually need to be attached for 3 to 4 days for Lyme disease to develop, so removing the tick within 24 hours reduces the chances of Lyme developing. Lyme disease is not actually diagnosed in Australia due to the government not believing that it can be acquired by Australian ticks, even though this is pushed back against by many charities and people who don't believe there isn't Lyme disease here.
Look who's the safest country now. We just say that we don't have the diseases.
Yeah, you know what our ticks aren't named? The paralysis tick.
Yeah, ours are friendlier, for sure.
Well, maybe... Wait, Lyme disease causes paralysis, though, so maybe they are the same thing.
No. You're moving the goalposts,
like facial
Jackson.
paralysis and stuff.
You're
That's
moving the
completely
goalposts,
different
Jackson.
than an Australian paralysis tick.
I mean, don't they only cause paralysis in dogs and stuff? Let me have a look.
I don't know.
I'm about to find out. The Australian paralysis tick, also known as Ioxides holoculus, that's actually a really cool name.
That's a dope name.
That actually sounds like it would be like a Xerxes style character.
It does.
In your fan fiction.
They may be found all year round. They're found in a variety of habitats across the humid coastal regions of eastern Australia, so the part where everyone lives.
Yeah, wait, this is the same symptoms. These include flu-like symptoms, rashes, an unsteady gait, weak limbs, and partial face paralysis. Those are the symptoms.
Okay,
That's
you know what the difference
It's
is?
so much worse, though.
You know what the difference is? This is the difference.
Listen
to me. Our ticks have a chance. sometimes to be infected with Lyme disease.
Yeah.
And whenever one is found to be infected with Lyme disease, as we're reading about now, it is a huge deal that causes it, like a huge research for everyone in the area to figure out where the source is and stop them. You have a native species that just does that all the time.
Well, yeah, but you also have, like, Lyme disease wasn't created. Well, the conspiracy theory is
allegedly
created, but let's say it's a naturally occurring thing.
Wait, what do you mean? Hold on. No. That doesn't make any sense. That's like being like, oh, you have dogs. Dogs can carry rabies.
We should settle this in the Coliseum.
That's scary. Meet me at the Washington Monument.
Meet me at the Washington Monument.
That's way easier for you to get to than me.
I need you oiled up with a knife come sundown, ready to go.
Can't we meet somewhere in the middle, like Hawaii?
No. Hillary Clinton's not there. What kind of a question is that?
Yeah, she can't watch. She can't watch from
I want
to
be in a fight, and she's over there like in Gladiator, like Joaquin Phoenix was.
Yeah, she's got the thumb up or down.
Show me a challenge. And she like has a big chalice up there and stuff.
Why can't we join forces against Hillary Clinton? Why do we have to fight?
That's not what this is about. See, now you're really moving the goalposts. This was about something greater than ourselves, and now you're trying to like shift on what we're doing here, and I don't appreciate it.
They both sound bad, I will say. They both sound bad. I'd rather not have either one.
Yeah, again, okay, hold on. This is do not fall it. Do not do this middleman thing. Caleb, remember where your loyalties lie, okay?
You're right. I take back what I just said. I'd rather have Lyme disease.
If our tick has Lyme disease, it is a big issue that we try to absolve, and it's rare. You have a thing there that always does that all the time, and everyone just accepts it. I'm reading a Wikipedia entry about it right now.
No, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen all the time. It's potential symptoms. It's just that is what it can do.
I know that a majority of Lyme disease cases do go undiagnosed, though.
Lyme disease was first diagnosed in Lyme, Connecticut, which is pretty close to Plum Island, less than a half an hour drive, one of the main fuels to the fire for this particular theory. It was first recognized in the 70s as well, which is when the main outbreak and accidental virus releases occurred at the facility at 1971 and 1978, respectively. The fact that Plum Island has been involved with foreign and threatening animal diseases since its opening and has had several outbreaks has caused speculation regarding secret biological warfare experiments, possibly involving ticks. The center has extensive research activity on vector-borne diseases, which are diseases that are spread by insects.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you have this facility that does, animal-borne illness research. And then Lyme disease suddenly appears nearby, leading people to think maybe it's something that was birthed from the facility.
Right. I'm in on it.
I'm in. I believe. Of course, many believe that Lyme disease was accidentally released from Plum Island, and that is how the spread of the disease began. Possibly the center was experimenting with ticks or tick-borne diseases, and then these ticks escaped from the island by birds or other wildlife. All I can imagine are ticks sailing little boats across the river, which is probably true. What is a bird if not the boat of the air?
I think they're called planes.
This is the more... yeah, that would be okay. This is the more innocent and government-friendly theory, as a lot of people also speculate that the creation of Lyme disease was intentional, with the government wanting us to use it to incapacitate enemy forces or livestock. It's clearly no coincidence that Lyme disease started in Old Lyme and Lyme in Connecticut in 1975, shortly after the height of the Cold War in the 50s and 60s. Clearly, this was a disease created in the labs to take out the commies through ticks, and it accidentally got out after the Cold War ended.
That is interesting.
It is weird
that it was.
It's curious.
Lines up.
It's no secret that we had theorized, like during World War II and stuff like that, if diseases were viable to use against enemy forces.
Weapons, yeah.
So, who's to say we weren't?
I completely 110% believe like every single government probably was working on that kind of stuff in the early 50s and 60s, including America, obviously. So,
we've never done anything wrong ever.
Yeah, what are you talking about, dude?
But does that mean that that they created Lyme disease and it got out then? So are they the creators of Lyme disease, or was it just something that they were, experimenting on that's a naturally occurring disease?
No.
Other than it just coming to existence and first being tested for, like, coincidentally around the time that Plum Island was a thing. You know?
To be honest, I understand that there are ways for diseases, something about genome sequencing. Like, you can create diseases within a lab setting, but there's also something about the tags, especially at the end of like DNA or RNA strands, that most of the time they can tell when something was manufactured versus like naturally produced. But that also may just be because they can see the differences compared to regular strains versus lab grown strains. Once we get into that level of like research tags or lab tags that can be detected on diseases, that is past my pay grade. I know it is a thing that can be told, but I don't know how surefire the science is.
But is that in a modern sense, or was that even a thing back in like the 50s?
It had to be a little bit, because they were doing like DNA sequencing and gene sequencing, but it's not as advanced as now.
You're saying the tags are purposely put there so they can be identified?
That sometimes like things will be tagged to know, but other times you can just, like, another scientist can look at like a DNA sequence and tell like where stuff has been edited. And again, I think that's comparing it to normal strands. Like, they can look at it and be like, yeah, this wouldn't occur in nature. It's been made in a lab to do X, Y, Z.
Clearly edited. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
In Photoshop.
But again, I don't know how surefire that would be if you were to go as far as make an own disease, if that's even feasible. Again, past my pay grade, but I know it is science that does exist in some degree.
Okay.
That was getting near the point in my biology courses when I dropped out. So
you were so close to being an expert on this.
I was so close to being for this one podcast episode. No, and I should have stuck around. Should never dropped out. Should never have done YouTube full time. In a 1998 article in the New York Times, Closely Guarded Secrets, Some Islands You Can't Get to Visit, it was reported that in 1993, a tabloid Newsday found previously classified documents that had talked of plans to disrupt the Soviet Union by spreading certain diseases to kill off their livestock and animals like horses. There was also one in particular, Rift Valley fever, that can affect humans. Officials say that all of this ended a long time ago, and we and the Russians don't need to worry anymore.
Phew, thank God they said that.
Oh man, I feel better now.
Yeah.
As a show of good faith, Russian scientists even went to inspect the facility in 1994 to see if the research was still ongoing, and concluded it wasn't, which was obviously very brave of them, considering all it would have taken was a single Lyme disease-ridden tick being placed in a briefcase for the American government to pull off one hell of a ballsy assassination. According to the government, the research into destabilizing the Soviet Union via certain diseases went on until 1969, when Richard Nixon ended the program. I believe that Nixon would have ended it. He shut down a lot of stuff the
Did he hate
CIA
science?
and like they were doing. No, Nixon was just super anti, like he was suspicious of the Fed a lot, of like the CIA and things like that. So he shut down a lot of their programs. So I could see that. Also, like in 1994, when they went to visit, the Soviet Union was gone. So like, there's no.
Yeah, well now it was Russian scientists. This was like 20 years after the Cold War. So
well, the USSR ended in 91.
Okay.
So it's 3 years after that. But like, the Cold War, it depends on your definition. The Cold War really never ended. Like, I mean, look where national tensions are now. But the USSR went away in 91. So
okay.
There's no evidence to link Lyme disease to Plum Island, and the bacteria has been in North America for a very long time. We're talking thousands of years.
So that's what I was saying. Yeah, so it's not.
It's endemic.
The question is if it's like a strain that was being edited or manipulated there.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Apparently, the first known evidence of Lyme disease was discovered in Otzi, a mummy over 5,300 years old in the Eastern Alps, which is a lot older than Plum Island. On the counterpoint, it is entirely possible that the government fabricated evidence and framed the Otzi mummy of having Lyme disease to cover their tracks. Now we're talking.
That I believe.
I'm
back.
I'm excited.
You lost me, now I'm back.
It was over, but now I'm back. I'm ready.
Fuck yeah.
Madam Clinton, where are you at? I'm ready.
Mhm.
Let's go.
Where's that letter?
Where's that letter? Send me that letter right now. I'll ship out. The center also does not research human pathogens that we know of, just animal ones mainly relating to livestock. Spread of Lyme disease is also in line with the natural behavior and ecology of ticks, feeding on a variety of animals, including rodents, birds, humans, and more. The government has continuously denied involvement with creating or releasing Lyme disease, just reiterating that we have touched on above, only researching animal diseases, not humans. But are we really going to just believe the government?
No.
That's the question.
No.
I'm not. I refuse to.
No, I'm fucking not. Yeah.
The theory really gained a wide audience due to a book released in 2004 by Michael Carroll called Lab 257, The Disturbing Story of the Government's Secret Plum Island Germ Laboratory.
That's a good book title.
That's a great title.
That's
I like
so
that
good.
The book speculated about the research that happens at Plum Island, suggesting that Lyme disease escaped from the facility. Many highly rate it, many think it's rubbish, but it did propel the conspiracy theories around Plum Island into the limelight. Ha ha, ha 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 ha. Into the limelight, with the book directly calling the facility a ticking time bomb.
Another pun.
Gosh, the back-to-back puns. I can't do it. I'm at my limit.
Those are like explosive forces.
To be fair, I think the first one is obviously a pun that was written Lyme, Lyme. I don't think the second one was meant to be a pun.
A lot of the overall mystery of Plum Island surrounds Building 257. Originally, it was said to store weapons, but this changed after World War II. It is one of the primary research buildings on the island and houses many highly contagious pathogens, meaning the precautions and protocols are tight, leading to an air of mystery around the building itself. This particular building is the building referenced in the title of the book, Lab 257.
Wait, I'm just trying to think. So 2004, the book releases, and that was around the same time that Hillary Clinton went on her crusade against Plum Island.
Yep.
So that was all connected. Was 2004 also the time of a big outbreak with Plum Island? I think it was.
Yeah, there was two back-to-back events. I don't think they escaped the island, but
no, but it was like it was big news then. Okay.
Yeah.
So is it possible that this book kind of just like released to capitalize on all of that kind of stuff and then just...
I don't know if you could write a book that quickly and publish it that quickly. How long is this book?
Stephen King does.
Yeah, but he just makes shit up.
Yeah, but that's also cocaine.
So does this guy.
Well, this guy at least had to do some research.
And cocaine.
Yeah, little cocaine research. This is... how many pages is this? 289. Ooh.
I feel a strange sense of deja vu. We're going to talk about Operation Paperclip. We're not going to recap Operation Paperclip because, we talked about it last week. You can check out the previous episode 39, if you want more details about what those wily Nazis and the American invitations and citizenships they received on your taxpayer money was all about. That's the last episode. This specific theory surrounds a man named Dr. Erich Traub, who himself was a former Nazi scientist. Erich studied at the Rockefeller Institute for Medical Research located in New Jersey in the 1930s, where he worked and studied viruses and vaccines. Erich specialized in animal diseases and biological warfare, working at Plum Island, located at the Baltic Sea. It was this island where the Nazis researched some of their most concerning biological weapons. Much like the accusations towards Plum Island paint, Rims Island was not only a center for research into agricultural diseases, but it also became a location where the Nazi regime studied biological and chemical warfare during the Nazi era. Here's a who's who of the nasty chemical and bacterial diseases heavily researched at Rims Island. Anthrax, you know it, you love it, the deadly bacterial infection that can be utilized as a biological weapon against enemy forces and civilian populations. It also affects both humans and animals, so it's a very versatile way of waging war. Best known for like the anthrax scares, if you guys remember that. Of course you do. That was huge. People People would know it from that. Rinderpest, a viral disease affecting cattle and other cloven-hoofed animals, and the Nazis were particularly interested in how they could weaponize it to destabilize foreign industry. Then we have glanders. Never heard of this one. What's glanders? A bacterial disease affecting horses that can also affect humans. The Nazis had a fascination with this one because humans were still reliant on our horse friends back in World War II as a part of military logistics. Then we have plague and typhus, which is the Nazis veered off course here and started ad-libbing research on things that weren't even remotely animal disease based at their animal disease facility. That's never a good sign. And then, of course, foot and mouth disease, that old chestnut. It's no mere coincidence that Rim Island and Plum Island were researching the same disease. I mean, Rim and Plum also kind of sound the same and look the same. Yeah, there's so many parallels between...
Put it that way.
There's so many parallels between Rim and Plum Island. They're basically the same goals. And then this guy, Eric Traub, is basically hired by the US during Operation Paperclip to kind of consult at Plum Island after, the Nazi regime ended. So, yeah, potentially Plum Island is run by Nazis. Like many other Nazi scientists, Eric was brought to America by the US government under Operation Paperclip, and his valuable skills made him an asset for America during the Cold War. Apparently, he visited Plum Island a number of times to see what they were doing and give advice, but he turned down a permanent position there. That's right, not only were the Nazis invited to become citizens in America, but they also had the audacity to turn down jobs they didn't want. What he was directly involved in.
That's funny.
What he was directly involved in is a bit murky, and his name doesn't appear to be directly correlated to official projects there, but some believe that he added to the development of biological warfare defense strategies at Plum Island, or was even involved in the experiments with ticks, which may have contributed to the supposed creation of Lyme disease. If this is true, that means that Eric Traub, a Nazi made American by the American government, may have created Lyme disease, which has now affected millions of Americans due to the rumored Lyme disease outbreak in the 70s. Jesus, if that's true, what do you think about that, Isaiah? Do you think there's any kind of basis to that?
Honestly, no. I think.
Oh, come on!
Okay,
that's so catchy.
You're
that's
right.
so
You're
catchy.
Right. You're right.
Come
you're
on,
right,
it's clean.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Shut up. Okay.
I actually believe it.
I'm furious that the same organization that tries to keep us safe, tries to keep us out of harm's way, and then lies to us about the truth of Operation Paperclip, not only funded and administered, but covered up one of those Nazis building a disease to hurt their own people, and then to this day won't admit it. I think that is an affront to God.
That's wrong.
That's what I think. That's wrong.
We should round him up, tar and feather him.
It's wrong. We should get him in the streets. Well, I can't. I've made too many jokes about Hillary Clinton. I can't keep doing the bit. But
you're actually going to be assassinated. Again, the book Lab 257, the disturbing story of the government's secret Plum Island germ laboratory, brought a lot of attention to this theory. The author alleges that Eric was very involved in the secret experiments conducted at Plum Island, but does not provide any evidence to prove this. This period of time was shrouded in mystery and secrets, laying the perfect foundation for a conspiracy theory such as this. But there is no documentation or evidence to prove Eric contributed much to the research happening at the island. But I mean, come on, it's too perfect. It lines up too much. They were doing research. This guy was doing research at Rims Island on this exact thing, foot and mouth disease, as well as other diseases, which of course, that's what those facilities are for. But then they hire him and bring him to Plum Island, and then an outbreak happens like that same year or the same period of time. Just say you believe it.
Strange.
Someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
That happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I believe it.
That happened.
Yeah, that.
All I know is this fucking Montauk monster looks scary as shit. Can I read this part?
Yeah, go for it.
Dude, found ashore in July 2008 on a beach strangely near the business district of Montauk in New York. The Montauk monster has been heavily speculated to be a byproduct of Plum Island. Speculated by who? Who's been speculating?
By me. Keep reading.
Okay, right. We still don't know what the creature is. At first, some believed it might be a turtle without a shell, but turtle spines are actually fused to the shell, so it couldn't be that. Maybe a raccoon? The legs are too long. Dude, what is that?
It's got a beak, doesn't it? It looks like
it looks like it has a fucking beak.
It'll get there. The Montauk monster is a classic cryptid. I'm very familiar with this little fella.
Okay.
We'll get there. Sure.
Maybe a dog or coyote? The eyes and feet aren't right. Well, what the fuck is it? An overgrown Lyme disease tick? That's pretty good. I like that. This speculation has fueled theory by Isaiah Windigoon that the Montauk monster is some sort of creature that came from Plum Island. This theory suggests that secret genetic or biological experiments on animals were being conducted, resulting in this strange, deformed animal unable to be identified. It seems to have features that can be connected to lots of different animals, bringing up the possibility that it is a chimera, a hybrid, or a mutant animal. Interesting. The body eventually mysteriously disappeared, and some anonymous residents claimed that someone took it. We don't actually know what happened to it or if it was real. The picture went viral at the time, gaining traction on major news platforms. Without the body to perform an autopsy, the identity of the creature will remain unknown. So it was a hoax. Okay, I see.
Well, so hold on. It shows up. Someone posted about it, and then later, after it became a big deal, they asked what happened to the body, and it was like, oh, I don't know, we didn't pick it up. So just like, got carried away, whatever. It looks very, very similar to, and it's very sad to say because I love raccoons, but the way raccoons look after they've been left in water for a long time when they die.
there's all bloating
because they decompose around the edges, and all of the hair falls out.
Right.
So it's like a waterlogged raccoon corpse, probably, assuming it's not just a hoax. But like body structure wise, it's pretty raccoon shaped.
Yeah, I was wondering about. So the limbs are like white, really white, and then there's like bruising around the body, and that's clearly like bloating. Then
it looks like a cat/raccoon skull too.
Yeah.
So Isaiah, what's the beak though? Is that just the skull peeking through from decomposition?
That is so like when you look at raccoon skulls, they've got like this little like front little like where their two front teeth come down. I think it's just that, but like it's lost some of the top teeth or something.
So yeah, it is like skull peeking through.
Yeah, could just be the image too.
The conclusion is that it was a raccoon with its upper jaw missing. So basically that's like a break in the skull, hypothetically.
That's what it looks like. Looks kind of cute, honestly.
I mean, yeah, if you imagine him with fur and, not decomposing, he's probably a cute fella.
Little guy.
Yeah, right? Raccoons look super cute.
It's an experiment by the government that they're using to take our country back from us
USA.
and give it to the to invaders. So that they're super killer. We gotta kill more of them. First chance we get. It's better.
What was that?
I'm proud to be an American.
Wait, what'd you just sing?
Oh, nothing. I just went,
yeah, and I'm proud to be an American.
At least I know I'm free. I love that song.
Won't forget
Lee Greenwood.
Died.
Who gave that right to me and I promise to stand up next to you and defend her.
Cause there ain't no doubt I love
this land. God bless the USA.
How did we get here? What even caused that? The Montauk monster?
I just started talking about how like this was designed to take our jobs or something stupid. Like,
it's true, dude.
Usually I can tell where it comes from. That one lost me completely.
Hey man, just having fun out here.
Yeah. For me, it was the best decision. And for Jackson, it was the worst decision to make Caleb the co-host on the show. Like, it just multiplied me by like a factor of 10.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that's funny.
Who wants to take us out? Who wants to
take us out?
All right, I'll take us out. So, the United States Homeland Security has been building a new national bio and agro defense facility located in Manhattan, Kansas. This means that Plum Island will officially begin the slow process of closing reportedly continuing to be fully functioning until December of this year. Many employees at the island have been transferred to Kansas, where the equipment is state-of-the-art and their decontamination and safety protocols are high. No Lyme disease outbreaks are expected to occur for at least another 10 years. There's now a vigorous hiring process that ensures Nazi employees will be kept to a minimum. That's
Good.
HR's taken over. Okay, so that was a joke. I was like confused there for a second. No Lyme disease outbreaks are expected to occur for at least 10 years. Like they planned it out.
Joke. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a joke.
That leaves the island and what to do with it up in the air. The idea was floating around that it should be auctioned off, but environmental advocates and officials are wanting for it to be instead preserved. Besides the research facilities, the island is untouched and there are hundreds of plants and animals living happily on the island. One thing's for sure, a lot happened at Plum Island and a lot of it was not great. A quote from Dr. Companion, that sounds like a
can't be a real name. Yeah, what
Dr. Companion. A scientist who previously worked at Plum Island, quote, "The history of Plum Island is the history of biosafety. It has been serving as a frontline defense for the country since the 1800s. This has always been the people's island, but we've been using it to protect them. We're very proud of the work that we've done here." End quote.
They sound like a cult.
Yeah. What was the but about? Like I thought it was going to go a different direction. This has always been the people's island, but we've been using it to protect them.
Well, I think he's saying like this has always been at the people's island, but you're not allowed to come here because it's actually used to protect you.
It's for their own good. Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So what do you guys think? Any kind of conspiracies that you actually believe about the island now? Or is that just still... I don't think you guys believe it. I feel like you're just saying it to make me feel better. Because I actually do.
No.
I do think... Oh.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think the Montauk, or whatever the fuck it's called, the Montauk monster. I think Isaiah's right with that one. That's probably a raccoon. But I think the government was actually doing some pretty like shady stuff there potentially during the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, but has it resulted in any real world consequences? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know if so. As far as I would go is, I think maybe like they were fucking around with Lyme disease and then it got out. It's just so strange that it, like Lyme is like right next to Plum Island, like literally where they first started testing or where they first found the outbreak of Lyme disease, is literally like right next to Plum Island. That seems like a weird coincidence to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of really strange shit for sure.
All right, Isaiah, anything from you?
Yeah, I think it's pretty standard. If it was anything super secret, like, you know, government top dog, we never would have heard about it, right? That's that. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, look at the stuff we do know about now in hindsight, like Operation Paperclip or stuff like that. We don't know where or how they're doing that until 30 years later. It's the fact we've always known about Plum Island, the fact that Plum Island has been the place to do disease research. That means that is not the place they're going to do secret disease research, right?
Yeah, true. But is that like, wait, we didn't know about it back in the 60s though, did we? As to the extent that we do now. It was only like in 2004 when Hillary Clinton went on her anti-plum crusade.
No, we've always known it's there. That's always been a forefront of disease research. Because it's like a place people apply to and get jobs at and stuff like that. They're not like inducted into it. Hillary went on her tirade when something went wrong there because that made people weary of it. And like, sure, there's been some government negligence that's led to issues there, but I mean, give me one branch of government that hasn't had a series of negligence that has caused problems. It's just a lot more noticeable when instead of losing the mail or something, it is, you know, releasing hand and foot disease. So
yeah. So you think the facilities where they actually fuck around with, anthrax, for example, or whatever, like the actually dangerous places, they're places that we don't know about at all.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, dude, look during World War II, whenever the Manhattan Project was going on, they were developing like uranium to be used in bombs underneath like football fields in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Right. Like it was just places you never ever would have thought of. That we only find out later.
That we know about Plum Island immediately discredits it as being conspiracy.
Hey, when we decommissioned all like the nuclear missile silos that we had stored up in the Cold War, it was on random people's farms in the middle of like Nebraska. Like no one would ever think to look there, right? That kind of thing's everywhere. So I would say that the fact that Plum Island's the place you go for diseases means that's not the place they're going to build the super secret deadly ones, if they are. And I think 1,000,000% they absolutely were during the Cold War, and probably there's no doubt in my mind if the government finds out about a secret disease that could be weaponized, they're not doing it for quote unquote defensive capabilities or whatever, right?
No, they're figuring out how to weaponize it first.
If they do the same thing with nuclear weaponry, if they do the same thing with chemical weaponry, if they do the same thing with pyro weaponry, then of course they're going to do the same thing with biological weaponry, right? So it stands to reason it's somewhere, but Plum Island's probably not it because it's too high vis. Now, was maybe the people of Plum Island working on something like Lyme disease and then it got out? Like, because we know that stuff like hand and foot disease got out because there were just cows there. What if there was just a tick there at Plum Island that got Lyme disease and that started the outbreak? Very possible, but I don't think it was on purpose. Because again, if we're under the impression, if you do want to say Plum Island is building these super secret things, okay, then why would they leak something as negligible as Lyme disease? Like, sure, it's serious, but it doesn't wipe out a population. Why would they leak that if they have much, much bigger things on their hands instead, right?
Well, was the conspiracy that they intentionally leaked it? I thought it was more so that they were fucking around with Lyme disease and then it just got out.
Well, there were two. Remember, there was the accidental leak theory, and then they were trying to take
Test
out
on
people
humans,
theory.
maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Well,
yeah,
I think
if it did come
that's
from there, it was
not
definitely accidental. I would say.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think they intentionally did it. There's nothing to gain from that.
Yeah, it's just like, our super secret government facility. What if we have a little funsies? What if we send something out for funsies? Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
but plus, if they were going to test it on if they were going to test it on, people, they wouldn't do it right next to where the facility is.
Correct.
And immediately,
I know the super secret lab. Let's test in the front yard. They'll never know.
Yep, that makes sense.
Let's make a creature and let it wash up on shore.
Alrighty, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Red Thread. Thank you very much for joining us. I got to go back to, shoring up my house to protect from all the animals that are coming to kill me now.
As you should.
So I've got to get on the defensive. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Sounds good, fellas. See y'all.
See ya.
See y'all. Bye. Stay safe from Australia.